So, you already know Aldo, and it's studio day at No Cap Studios here in Baltimore, Maryland, run by Aldo B. So, I believe that today I wanted to focus on snacks and making sure that vibe was cool. So, I went and got all the stuff that these musicians Afterglow like. So, when you run a studio, try your best and make sure that you work on the vibe. Focus only on making sure everyone is comfortable. Don't sweat the small stuff because things will happen. And I want you to know that you don't have to have the best gear. You don't even have to have all the experience in being in the studio. All you need to do is make sure you have the simple equipment. Don't be like me. I have a 8-channel Focusrite Pre. It's fine. But here I am wanting to go and get a Eurodesk because I wanted more inputs. Because I'm trying to record a 5-piece band with just 8 inputs, you know? So I ended up going through all of the steps with hooking up this mixer today. And it was, cumbersome, to say the least, to take all the snake cables that I had already ran into the back of the pre's and basically just undo everything I had already tested that worked. For some reason, I'm like, you know what? I could make it better, knowing that I couldn't. Man, I turned this board on and there was some weird static sounds on the aux channels. So I had to basically use the 8 aux from this 32 channel desk and run it into the Focusrite. So, like I normally do, I would just use the TS Snake and run, each cable into each input into the Focusrite. I did that. I get to the desk and I hear static on channel 3. And then I hear static on all the other channels. It was a mess, and I'm just like, okay, this is going to be crazy. I'm going to need to think about a plan B if this session happen tonight and everything just sounds weird. Sure enough, it did. I start the session and everything sounds super weird. The first thing anybody would do is kind of freak out. But this video is about the vibe, because while all of that stuff with the mixer was happening in the session, which you'll see in a few minutes, I guess, I still wanted to make sure the vibe of the room was cool. Shorty brought the kids down when they got home. So everybody was hanging out, the kids having fun. And then some of the artists like, yo, some friends are pulling up. Is that okay? I'm like, well, okay, sure. Turns out these kids are, connected to some super talented individuals all together. So it was honestly just a cool energy in the whole entire studio. And I enjoyed the fact that despite some of the issues I had with the mixer, I really wanted to hone in on the vibe. And I guess with the vibe in a studio session, as a producer and an engineer, you got to have a focal point. There's going to be people talking about, they need this and that. But you got to think about the person that's the artist. And in this case, it was a singer. She's awesome, Mars. That's her. And I wanted my attention to be drawn specifically to her. Everybody had needs and couldn't hear. I know, I'm sorry, I need new headphone extension cables. But the vibe had to be appropriate for the artist. So I spent a lot of time making sure the artist could be tapped into their creative juices. So I got the camera out and started taking little videos while she was rapping. Turns out, not only she's a good rapper, she knows how to work with the camera. She, Mars was giving all the right vibes. And for the most part, she was very patient through all of this. And all I could think about was like, ugh, I hate the fact that I had to pause the session for a little while just to just to change over the cables from the mixer to the interface, because I want more energy, in the session, and more focus to be on continuously having a good session. Every now and then I would have some computer hiccups. It didn't happen today, but the sound overall was a problem. So I will say this. Take your time, dial in your sounds with the gear you have, and leave it. Don't change it. In the future, I do want to get another pre's to string to the other Focusrite. But anyway, like I said, the vibe was supposed to be set, and I did that. Check. And I wanted to make sure the artist had all the attention. Check. And it really helped when the other energies in the room from the visitors were creatively inputting all of the vibes. Like, this is about vibes. Everyone generally was about the music and making sure the sound was right. Now, I'm so excited that I have the opportunity to record, because I get the chance to figure out what works and what doesn't work when it comes down to sound. But for the most part, the vibes are dialed in. From the snacks to generally how the room feels with all the decorations and just a bunch of memorabilia from my life. But overall, I wanted to capture a video as well so that the band could see Mars. So this trick was bootleg, but I went live on YouTube privately and shared the link to my computer, and then shared that link feed to the studio monitor.
Yo, please, bro.
That little change boosted the vibe altogether. They were like, oh, we can see her. However, there is a lag when you go live on YouTube, and obviously it's not a professional solution. But the point is, in a budget studio, in a home studio, in a project studio, not only can you curate vibes and tend to the artist, but you can generally create an energy in the room that is accepting to things not being perfect. If you have an attitude of gratitude, generally your artists and musicians will be, patient. Eventually, I got the tones dialed in for the most part. I also had a weird hiss, even still, after taking out the lines from the mixer and putting them into the Focusrite. I still had the hiss in the cable coming from the keyboard mixer. So, at the end of the day, you don't have to have the best gear, but have more than 8 channels, yo. To be honest. So make sure you curate the vibes. Make sure you tend to the artist. Make sure you understand that the energy of the room needs to be very much appropriate and fitting, so that people will be okay if things aren't particularly perfect and correct. And finally, your gear should be a 8-channel pre, yes, but you also need to have more than 8 channels. I want to go and get a super big mixer, get the digital stage box and do all this kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, the 8 pre's for the Focusrite is solid. It captures the sound enough, and it's reliable. So make sure you capture the energy in the room by building, all the right vibes. And, people will be understanding if things aren't perfect. But generally, make sure you focus on the artist, yo. Please, don't be doing nothing else. Just focus on the artist. I just had to capture some B-roll because the energies are unbelievable. One day, it's going to be officially isolated, all this kind of stuff, in here or in a different place. But the point is, I'm practicing for what God is preparing for me.